We've always been looking for different vehicles to bring TCGs to the market. Over the years, when we were thinking about proprietary projects and we had the Wars engine in place, we always thought that there might be a possibility for us to do something like this. And eventually the pieces fell together. We had the right concept, we had the right ideas, we felt like we finally had the right team in place, and we wanted to bring the Star Wars mechanic back. Because the players really wanted it, we felt like it was the right time to do it, and finally the decision was made for us to do it this year, and we're very happy with what we've got. Well, once we made the decision to do a project of this nature with our own property and bringing back the Star Wars engine, we decided that we wanted to do something which was our core strength, which we felt like was science fiction. Decipher's always been known for great art and putting out great gameplay. So now we had to figure out, well, what are the pieces that we need in order to bring this whole project together? We had some ideas that we had internally. We kind of concepted the idea for the rough story. And we decided one of the things we wanted to do to help launch the story was to get someone to write a fiction piece for us as a signature piece for the first set. And Mike Stackpole immediately came to mind.
In terms of writing in the universe and as a writer, this is one of these universes where there are going to be a billion stories. And that's a lot of fun. The way the universe was developed, there weren't any of those artificial limitations set up that you often see in the dumber science fiction universes. We've all seen science fiction novels or science fiction movies where a planet has one culture. In this case, we have mixes and matches of culture. We have cultures that naturally developed. So this becomes a place where you have people who have motivations, they have directions, they have desires, and that makes putting together stories incredibly easy.
The development process between us and Mike was a good collaboration, and we feel like that we all brought things to the table that make a good story. Well, once we decided we wanted to do a science fiction property, we decided that we should probably push it out into Earth's future a little bit because we wanted to give enough time for people to believe that some of the things we wanted to interject into the story could have happened. So we had humans going out and colonizing Mars, expanding into the outer rim of the solar system, around the asteroid belt, mining on different planets and asteroids. And so then we decided we had to have another nemesis. Just humans fighting amongst themselves wasn't the extent of the story we wanted to tell. From Earth's standpoint, they're motivated by the desire to recapitulate humanity.
Well, the Earthers, again, are those people who are on top of everything. And the fun thing about the Earthers is that now that it's all taken away, they've got to figure out a way to try and get it back. Earth in the 24th century actually is very interesting because they've expanded off of Earth, and yet they've had other human beings break away. So you have a very corporate-oriented Earth, and a clean look, a strong look, but it's also a frustrated look. I mean, here are these people who had their empire, and now it's all been taken away from them.
They colonized Mars in the first place because they wanted to get away from Earth and some of the travesties that had fallen mankind in their haste for technology.
They're very spiritual people, and so in that way they're a lot more sensitive to things that Earthers just don't understand.
So even though they live in a technical world, they try to live very much more in harmony with nature.
Pretty much in every society, you end up having people who are on the fringe. Not necessarily criminals, but people who just don't necessarily get along with the mainstream.
They take what they need, and by and large, they take what belongs to other people.
The Mavericks are unique in many ways. They've undergone genetic engineering, and they've had generations of that. They're heavily modified very often in terms of body parts being swapped in and swapped out. A lot of piercings, a lot of tattoos. You know, kind of Hell's Angels in the rings of Saturn.
The Shi are very self-entitled. Imagine the Romans back in ancient Rome. They just felt like they were superior.
When they popped into our universe, suddenly they became humanity's problem.
Everything should belong to them, and anybody that gets in their way is just an obstacle to overcome.
Quay are these huge bestial creatures, bipedal, but lots of horns, just very strong, very, very nasty, very, very tough to kill.
They have a very independent mind, and they are very violent in their protection of that.
So they kind of come through into our universe with an attitude problem. So the Quay sort of shoot first and ask questions later.
From a visual standpoint, we wanted all of the factions to have their own visual identity. So we set out, when we did the initial concept for the factions, to give them each some thematic support. Earth, for example, is representative of Earth as we know it. Earth tones, greens, softer colors, and a little bit more of a corporate sense, projecting Earth out 400 years into the future. For the Ganjin faction, they have a heavy Asian influence, reds and golds and purples and some of the colors that you would see in some of the elaborate and ornate dress that you would see in ceremonial Asian garb. The Mavericks are one of the more eclectic factions that we have. They represent the junkyard wars of our factions. They're very dirty and metallic and rusty, like you would find if you worked in a mining colony. As far as the Shi are concerned, they're very ornate and sophisticated. They come from a planet that is mostly water, so they represent a lot of aquatic details, aqua, blue, white. We wanted them to feel very sleek and modern. And as far as the Quay, well, they really are the roughhousers. They are black and red and dangerous. We wanted to represent them being more of the rage in the universe.
One of the most interesting aspects about working in the universe is that it's very visually rich. Decipher's got all sorts of wonderful artists putting together concept art and pictures, and sometimes, none of the pictures when they come in depict a villain or depict a particular hero, but sometimes as a creative individual, you look at this and you go, oh yeah, for me that strikes a chord. But it's, again, very powerful artwork, very interesting, and really brings the universe alive, and that makes it a lot of fun to work in. story ends up adding so much to the universe, because what it does is it takes cards, which are artwork and numbers, adds background, adds dramatic drift. The universe is very much alive, and that's what's so important, because if it's a living universe versus a sterile universe, you have a lot more fun. It's a very rich universe. It's also a universe that's going to be evolving, which is going to be interesting, and that means that there will be yet more stories as we go along.
The Wars project is really the most ambitious project Decipher's ever undertaken. It really is a culmination of all the talent in our art department, games department, and all of the contracted people that we've used to help us pull this together. It represents years of work in terms of concept. It represents the accumulated experience we have in the TCG industry, and we couldn't be happier with the product that we have. We feel like the team we pulled together, with some of the assistance that we've gotten from Mike Stackpole, John Howe, and too many other people to name, is just going to be a project that will really meet consumers' needs and really give them something that they can enjoy for years to come.